Yes, this is my very first wood carving that I ever did. What kind of? I'll get to that later. But a friend of mine, he told me that I should really show y'all this, that some of y'all might be interested in it. So here we go. Now, I did not have a YouTube channel whenever I made this. So all I have as far as documentation is a bunch of in-process pictures and a few videos. I was documenting it for my Facebook page, basically. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you all those in-process videos and pictures that I do have while I tell you about how I made it, who inspired me to make this, and how it kind of got me through the pandemic at the beginning stages when I'm stuck at home and nothing to do. This is a huge help with all that because it gave me a purpose and something to work on. Anyways, I'll get into that in the details. Sit back, maybe enjoy yourself an Irish coffee with me, and relax while I go ahead and tell you about my very first wood carving. That I am very proud of, by the way. And the pandemic happened. Remember, it was like the apocalypse. I'm sure many of you will never forget this month, but in March of 2020, everything shut down due to the pandemic. I know this because I was out of town and had to get back home ASAP per my job's mandate. So I got back like 2 in the morning, and I literally remember stopping at Walmart, hearing about all the food shortages, and I went in there and it was like empty. So I don't think we'll forget that month. So like most, I was stuck at home, and I wanted to find a project that was going to take a good deal of time because I didn't know how long this was going to last. There was one channel at that time that I was watching a lot of, and it's called Stinnett Sticks. The only reason why I'm not watching a lot of it now is because I'm caught up on all of his videos. Anyways, you should check him out. I'll link him in the description. He makes amazing walking sticks with realistic snakes on them. He's a phenomenal artist. With his inspiration, I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a carving. First, though, I had to see if I had any type of carving ability at all. My first little project, practice project, a piece of scrap 2x4, and I carved a snake on it. See it right here. This is the actual piece. You may have seen it in my past videos behind me. I keep it up on the wall. Just kind of remember my first my first carving, I guess you could say. I posted it on my Facebook page and a few snake groups and carving groups, and it got such a good response that I decided, you know what, I'm going to go ahead with the full-scale project. I decided my project was going to be a picture frame. I had some art that my older brother had done years back. The frame it was in was kind of in disarray, so I thought, hey, I'll do a picture frame for it. And as you can tell, the picture is of like a modern-day Eve with a little devil, and he's trying to get her to eat the apple. I decided I would do my own rendition of the serpent. Now, I did not want him to look like any snake that actually exists on Earth. I wanted this to be from my own imagination and my own creativeness. At the time, I could not go to the hardware store, so I had to utilize what I had on hand. What I had on hand is a few 2x4s and some other scrap material. I did not have a lot. Matter of fact, the 2x4s were a mixture of heat-treated and pressure-treated wood, so I had to utilize both. First thing I did is I cleaned up the tops of the 2x4s, basically jointed them so that I could glue them together. I then used Titebond 2, and I clamped the boards together, let them dry overnight. See, I needed a thicker piece than one 2x4. I needed 2, so I could get the full curvature and the full shape of the snake and have a frame. And then this is not I'm not showing you how to make a picture frame in this video, but then I just went along and I did the rest. I put rabbits on the back, I cut them to length, I went ahead and cut my miters, I put them all together, and I did reinforce the miters on this one with heavy duty nails on the bottom side because I knew I was going to be carving it out, and I didn't want to use splines because I would probably end up just removing them anyways. So after the frame was all complete, I used nails to fortify them and kind of cover the sides of them. Anyway, like I said, I'm not showing you how to build a picture frame. I started carving this thing using a wicked tool. And I'm going to tell you right now, I do not recommend anybody buying or using this tool. As a matter of fact, Stumpy Nubs got injured by this tool and did a complete video on it. And I'll link that in the description. I highly encourage you to watch that video. Fortunately, I used it and I did not get injured. I was very, very careful. Being a welder and metal worker, I understand 4-inch grinders and kickback, but this thing is worse because it grabs wood and it goes. So there was a couple close calls when I was doing this that really made me sweat and think about utilizing it. There's better options out there than this tool. I can't believe they even make it or sell it. If you want to know more about that crazy tool, tell me in the comments and I'll do a specific video on it and show you using it and all that jazz, but I'm not going to get into it in this one. So using that tool, I was able to get rid of majority of the bulk of the material. And then from there, I was able to go ahead and start using my Dremel tool, sandpaper, chisels. I mean, I used it all for this carving. So remember, it's my first carving, so I really didn't know what I was doing anyway. So I was trying out all different tools, see what was most effective and what worked good for me. The actual head and the apple and I guess the rattle, those took the longest to carve out, but this was nothing compared to what I was going to be doing next and beyond tedious. As I mentioned earlier, I was inspired by Stinnett sticks. And when he applies scales to his snakes, he uses a wood burner. So that's what he does. So that's what I used. I got a wood burner and I started burning scales on this bad boy. And let me tell you, it was the most tedious thing for me ever. It took forever. I don't know how he does it. But anyways, it took forever, but I did get it done. At one point, my real job picked back up and I started traveling again. So I had to set this aside while I was working on it. After 1 year, I finally picked it back up and made myself finish all those scales. It was horrible. Once the scales were all complete, I started painting it. And I painted it using the outdoor paint. These paints work really great. They're very similar to the ones Stinnett Sticks uses, but they're a lot more inexpensive. I use them all the time. They're like $1 something a little tube. They're fantastic. I love them. Now, I painted the snake, the apple, but the wood I left unpainted and I ended up staining it a dark color. I didn't want the color of the pine. I thought the contrast of the dark to the snake would look better. Just my opinion. And once I was all done with the staining, painting, all that, I went ahead and I gave it about 3 or 4 coats of clear lacquer to finish it off. For being my first carving ever, I'm pretty proud of it. I have thought about selling this. I'm not sure. Friend Brian says I should put it on eBay. I don't know yet. I'm going to make a website out here eventually. I keep saying that, but eventually I will. I do have Etsy where I sell some of my stuff. And then once a month I do a market. So I've never really put it out there to sell. I would love to hear y'all's thoughts on the frame. Does it suck? Is it cool? Is that something you would want to buy? Got any ideas of pricing? Throw those at me. I don't know. Tell me something in the comments about it. I'd like to hear it. Anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed hearing about it. Till next time, I'm out.